What is up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. If the ketamine video is the first time you've been to my channel, yeah, this is a little off topic, or off brand I should say, but I mean, it's my life, and I actually filmed a video before I got the infusions about how the scientific way that ketamine can help treatment-resistant depression and chronic pain. But I'm like, no, I should wait until after I've been through the experience and I can tell people what to expect. Because I thought, as a nurse, and even I have patients on ketamine for sedation, but I also saw a patient that they gave the low-dose ketamine to specifically for chronic pain and depression, because they wouldn't approve her for a lung transplant unless she could walk 500 feet, and she was just so depressed she didn't want to work with physical therapy, etc., and they gave her the ketamine infusions, and after that she's working with this physical therapy and walking, and I was like, wow, this is something I really need to consider. So if you're someone who is interested in learning more about ketamine infusions, how they help depression, treatment-resistant depression, and chronic pain, and what the experience is like, then keep on watching. Oh, I have some of my favorite eyeshadows at my mom's house, and I forgot to get them when I was there. I was there for 2 weeks. So you have to have a caregiver. So if you don't get along with your parents, don't choose them, because you might end up murdering them. Not only do they have to take care of you, they really do. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be fine. I don't know what I was thinking. I packed a bathing suit, oh, maybe I'll be feeling better enough and I'll want to go to the pool. Yeah, no. You're pretty incapacitated, but I'll get to that. So my insurance also didn't cover it, even though my insurance is listed on their website as being an insurance that does cover it. So here are the prices for where I go. If you are wanting to do it for only the treatment-resistant depression, that is 1 infusion a day for 2 hours for 5 days. And each infusion is $250, plus the initial meeting with Dr. Hannah, and that was mine was $500. I don't know how much it is for them. Now, if you are looking to go broke like I am now, oh, by the way, if you'd like to support me, I'm going to list my Poshmark and Etsy shops down below, because I'm broke as hell. Those are 4-hour infusions a day, $500 an infusion for 10 days. So I was like, why can't I have depression? I've never hoped for this depression before. But anyways, so it was, it actually took me a total of 6 months to get this scheduled. I did end up fracturing 2 of my spinal processes within that time. So there was a few months where I wasn't actively working on it, but you have to get a clearance from your psychiatrist, and you have to have them saying you have treatment-resistant depression. And I have horrible veins, and I had to get IV antibiotics a few years ago at an infusion center I had to go to every day, very similar to what this is. And they had to put a new IV in every day. By the 2nd day, they couldn't get an IV, and they ended up having to put a midline in. So I was trying to be prepared and get an order for a midline or a pit line. Now, I don't know why the ketamine doctor couldn't write the order, but he couldn't. I had to get it from my primary care doctor. Now, he agreed to it and wrote the order back in February. All right, and I had multiple appointments since then, and we would talk about it every single appointment. I answered all his questions. So when I go to schedule the line, they call him to ask, what's going to be running through it and for how long. And then he acted like he didn't know the answers. So 2 days before I'm supposed to start treatment, he calls me and he says, I'm canceling this order. You can't get a line. I'm like, oh my, I was so upset. But come to find out, this is just where I go to, so I don't want to speak for every place. And I'll tell you reasons a lot of places might not want to do this. But They ended up only having to get 2 IVs in me total. One the first week, they wrap it and you keep it for that 5 days, and then one the second week. But I'm like, on what planet are they gonna let people who are in pain and depressed go home with an IV? So you have to sign a form saying you're gonna take care of the IV and you're not gonna shoot anything up in it. Actually, while I was there, somebody got kicked out for like trying to shoot their Dilaudid up in it. I don't know. So, okay, and then you also have to have your liver enzymes tested. Now, I've never had elevated liver enzymes in my entire life, but of course when I'm trying to get out of pain, my AST was slightly elevated. So then I had to get a clearance. Well, this was before the whole midline incident. I had to get a clearance from my doctor saying that it was okay for me to still get the infusions because there's like ketamine induced hepatotoxicity, which is damage to your liver from the ketamine. And I have to get my liver enzymes tested again, but I have to wait a week while my liver heals. So if you know you have a bad liver, they won't schedule you. Okay, so the week before the infusions, and you obviously can't work or anything during this time or drive at all. Yeah. They send a few medications into your pharmacy. They send in clonidine, which is for blood pressure, and you're going to take that an hour before your infusion. The ketamine can cause increased blood pressure, so that's kind of used prophylactically. You're going to receive some Zofran because one of the side effects is nausea, and I did have some nausea. They are going to send you, if you're not already prescribed one, they're going to send you some sort of benzodiazepine, like Xanax or Ativan or something like that. And they're going to send an order for a scopolamine patch. So that will help with the nausea as well. And a stool softener. Okay. Also, I had to call this compound shop and order ketamine lozenges. And I was to take one of those every night after an infusion, and then on that first weekend, 3 a day. Okay, enough medications. Now, you get there, and they get an IV in you, fill out a whole bunch of paperwork, and every day you rate your quality of life score, the different types of pain you have, your pain level, your level of fatigue, and so they can track the progress. You are hooked up to a telemetry monitor your heart rate, your respirations. They're going to put a pulse ox on you to monitor your oxygen level. I actually had to be put on oxygen twice, and they said what they have noticed doing the ketamine is that it's not so much like you're having like sleep apnea or you stop breathing or anything like that. She said it's just you're usually holding your breath. Okay. Blood pressure cuff, which is going to go off intermittently, and they start the infusion, and then they give you a little cocktail of Zofran, lidocaine, and Versed. So I don't want to say I don't completely remember, but for the most part, I don't remember the infusions except for the first day because they have to taper up the dose. For pain, it started at 250 micrograms the first day. And I remember, like, I guess this was like the head lady because she was very strict and very... Anyway, she came in, she's like, how are you still awake? I'm just thinking, like, wait. Never mind. But, that shit is intense and it's awesome. It was like a spiritual experience. And I had it, like... the infusion was 4 hours. I think it probably took me and then my mom trying to figure out my phone and how to find an app to start my music. But it was like once the music finally started playing, it was almost like you were like a part of it. It was like, it was crazy. So yeah, like that day I listened to a lot of Nicki Minaj and Lizzo, so I feel like we are like spiritually connected now. And then the rest of the time, I don't want to say I don't completely remember, because it's like, even so when it would be done, it was like I subconsciously knew what songs had played during the fusion, but I don't remember anything about the infusion. And so the first week, I basically just went home after the infusion. Oh wait, let me get to the best part. So they also ask you every day, how was your night last night, and did you have any headache, nausea, constipation? And then I thought I was hallucinating. I was like, Mom, did you hear them ask this? She was like, no. The next day, here it is again. Do you have a brief on? I'm like, what? I wasn't hallucinating. You really asked me that yesterday. I'm like, no, I don't have a brief on. Should I? And they were like, well, you could lose control of your bladder. So then I was just like hyper fixated on don't pee yourself. I didn't have any issues. But I was just like, oh my God, am I hearing you correctly? So, okay, after the infusions, you feel like Gumby, and your proprioception is off. It's hard to walk. And the first week, I basically just went to the bed and passed out, and hardly ate anything the first week. I was extremely dehydrated. Like, I almost passed out on Friday, like walking to the car in this heat. But over the weekend, and I was also getting very discouraged because I wasn't noticing a difference, and my pain was so bad, and I feel bad because I was taking it out on my mom. I just get very irritable. But the second week is when I really started to notice a difference. So let me give you an idea. 8 years, the past 8 years before the ketamine infusions, my pain level every day, 24 hours a day, has been, when we're talking about a scale of 1 to 10, it's been anywhere from an 8 to a 10. And that's where, I'm not going to say all, but the majority of my depression comes from these days. I have dealt with depression since a very young age, but a lot of that was lack of self-worth, lack of self-esteem, and for a short period of time, I was actually off antidepressants. And then I got injured and diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And that's where the depression comes from. And I was thinking, this has only been 8 years. It feels like an eternity. How am I going to deal with this every day for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? I'm like, I can't do it. I'm not strong enough. This is too hard. I have no life. I would literally sleep for 3 days. Not eat. Well, I would wake up and eat a Twizzler and then go back to sleep. Like, that's not a life. Okay. And my last day of treatment, my pain was a 3. And I had actually gotten out of bed that morning and got dressed. Something else I haven't done in 8 years. Like, this past week, like, I popped so many tags, like, because I have all these clothes that I've never worn because I don't leave the house because of the pain. I actually did a wardrobe change today. Oh, tissue. And it's amazing. Now, I do have, you know, I went back to work and my back pain is really bad. I mean, I didn't, you know, they kept telling me this is for nerve pain, and I know that. But I'm still not in the pain that I was in before. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm dealing with this. But, so after the infusions, you know, they gave me the script for the lab work, and then they're like, okay, call in 2 weeks to schedule up your boosters, which are follow-up infusions. I'm like, 2 weeks? Like, I'm going to be paying this off for like years. And you want me to get more in 2 weeks? So I really need to call. But anyways, but I mean, on the other side of it, how much is pain relief and quality of life worth? Because it's priceless, you know? I'm not even going to talk about, well, I do want to talk about a little bit about how ketamine works. There are a lot of good videos on YouTube though, but I feel like I watched every single one of them though. There's definitely not enough. Ketamine has been approved by the FDA for treatment in chronic pain and treatment-resistant depression for 10 years. I remember I've been wanting to do it for 2. I learned about it maybe 3 years ago, and the way I learned about it is when I go for my RFAs, the radio frequency ablations of my back, my doctor shared an office with another doctor, and that's who does the infusions. So I would always see, like, they would have a commercial, or it would, you know, be on the wall, and when I asked my doctor about it, he was like, yeah, I think it would help you. You know, I talked to him about, I want to talk about transcranial stimulation too. If you're someone who is just considering ketamine for the treatment-resistant depression and maybe your insurance doesn't cover it, I'll get to that in a second. But you know, my psychiatrist was all for it. Like, you know, everybody was all for it. And actually, I was just, so not only did I have this ketamine infusion, I couldn't work, so it didn't make any money. And a week before the infusion started, this motherfucker wasn't even looking, T-boned me, totaled my car, which was paid off. So I had to buy a new car. Now I have a car payment again. And I can't even sue the motherfucker because he doesn't have bodily injury insurance. I have never tried to sue anybody from an accident before, but I was like, no. You totaled my fucking car that was paid off. You probably fucked my back up even more. Like, you need to be held responsible. Because he was able to just drive off. And it just doesn't, anyways, fucking Florida and their no-fault rule. Anyways, where was I? I don't know where I was, fuck. Oh, but yeah, the reason why, even though the FDA has approved it, it's still considered like off-label and experimental. So that's the reason why a lot of insurances won't cover it. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Oh, so because of that accident, so I went to see a chiropractor, and I had to do a telehealth appointment with a nurse practitioner before they would release my medical benefits from my car insurance. And I was, you know, telling her, you know, I just got done with these treatments. I wasn't able to be reached. I, you know, I apologize that, you know, it's taken me so long to contact you. And she was like, oh, really? She's like, I'd really love to hear about your experience. So I told her, I guess, you know, like, she's the one that can approve for it to be covered or not. And she said that she's been denying it, but then, like, on the other hand, she is hearing such great things. And I'm like, yeah, like, I think it should be covered. But anyways, hopefully one day. But if you're someone who is struggling with treatment-resistant depression, and your insurance doesn't cover ketamine, I was just talking to my psychiatrist about something called transcranial stimulation. There's only one aspect, and it's a big part that I don't like about it, but I'll get to that in a second. So it's where they send like magnetic signals to your brain, and I don't have my computer in front of me, but it has shown to really help depression. Like, almost, the statistics are impressive, I will say that. And I would be there in a second, and it says most insurances cover it, and I would do it in a second. But this is the thing, it's 40 minutes a day, every day, for 4 to 6 weeks. Who can do that? I can't. I don't think I can do. I can't do that. How would I go like in between 13-hour shifts when I end up only sleeping like 3 or 4 hours anyways? Like, I don't know. But yeah, I had never heard of that before. So if you know you haven't heard about it, maybe it's something that you should, you know, do a little research on. Okay, so yeah, I'm not gonna go into like the scientific part of it, but you know, it increases glutamate, and so it does a whole bunch of other stuff. Basically resets like the pain pathways and the way you interpret pain. And I know I'm just very grateful to be feeling better, and I don't ever want to go back to how I was before. So if you're someone who is struggling with this as well, I am so sorry. Like, I know what you're going through. I know how hard it is. You know, someone who I thought was a friend and like saw the real me, because like the me in pain, I don't feel is the real me, you know, and the one that's tired all the time. But you know, he said something to me like, oh well, you know, you can't have kids. I'm like, yeah, I know, because of my back. And you know, you're not someone who's, you know, very active. And I'm like, it's not like it's a choice. Like, I was a very active person. Like in high school, I was on the swim team, soccer team, I played basketball, I was a powder puff, I was on the, like, I did so many things and worked and graduated third in my class with 38 college credits, 36. And you know, afterwards, I would go to the gym like 4 or 5 times a day, work, go to nursing school. So, you know, it was just like, it's so sad that you only see my limitations and not the ways that I can add value to other people's lives. But I know it's hard accepting this life. And you know, the person that you have to be, because it doesn't feel like the authentic you. Okay, all right, sorry. I hope this video was informational and helpful in some ways. If it was, please let me know in the comments below. And yeah, I'll see you guys later.